Make that mistake and not press record. Done that before. Has your hair stopped growing? Staying the same?
No, it's still growing.
Yeah. How long are you going to go for, do you think?
Well, Italy opened the barbers last week. I'm hoping that maybe our hairdressers can do something restricted, not necessarily the same as we've always been, but who knows? I suspect they're itching to get back to work as well because most of them are self-employed.
Yeah. Episode 69, Sunday the 31st of May 2020. Before we go much further, we should say congratulations to James Taylor, JT, and his wife Megan, who had a baby boy yesterday at 2 o'clock. £9 something. Not very impressed with £9 something. I think it should have been a bit more accurate, you know.
At least you knew what sex it was.
Yeah, well, baby boy. Yeah, I mean,
you know that sketch from Fools and Horses where he comes out and he says, "Oh, I've got a baby," and they say, "What sex is it?" He goes, "I don't know," and then he has to go back to find out. That always reminds me of that when somebody says, "Oh, it's £9 something."
I mean, yeah. Apart from the sex, guys, the only job they've got to do is get the weight and get the name and tell everybody else, haven't they? Really, that's all we got to do.
Is it really? Yeah, that. Yeah. Well, I don't know because I'm not a bloke.
Well, they haven't got a name yet, and all went very well. Went into hospital at 10 and was sitting there. Arrived at 2, and at 3 o'clock in the afternoon they were 5 o'clock in the afternoon they were hoping to go home. So
I'm going to cough. Sorry.
Hopefully all's well today. Right. Okay. Let's start with the music. We've got another rollover. We're getting a few of those. Barry Royden is on 9 points. Just clarify that now. He's a 1.5 points clear from Angie Crush in second place. But they're all stumped with this one, which is a connection to Ringo Starr photograph from the day before. And I didn't know. I mean, they're famous people, so I thought they might get the connections and stuff and put it all together to get the music. But I might try and just give a fraction more of the music today. I'd like to go for a second rollover. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Right, here we go.
Help yourself. Get on with it. Go on.
Here we go. That might do it.
That might do it, but it's the connection that's more difficult.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's not sort of straightforward.
No.
Let's put it that way. And that's the only clue we can give.
No. I should have had a picture of Graham's caravan coming up now, but I haven't prepared that. But he put it on feedback to show how pleased he was, Graham Saker, to be in his mobile caravan rather than stuck in a flat.
Looking like a building site. I totally agree. This is part of the common sense thing, isn't it, really? Let's be honest. I mean, we're not trying to make people's lives miserable, surely. I'm sort of like stumped sometimes. I realise people don't like to take the risk sometimes, but come on.
Yeah, it's a fine line, isn't it? You know, some people will abuse it and any privileges.
Yeah, I suppose so. But I mean, when you're obviously, and you've got photographic evidence that you're obviously living in a nightmare, surely they could do something. And they had an alternative that will cost them, that not the council anything. They haven't got to put them up in a hotel or anything, not that they're any open, but you know what I mean. It wouldn't cost them anything just to say yes, that would be more acceptable for. And it's about well-being as well, isn't it? I mean, we're talking about mental health issues. I mean, if you're living in somewhere that's absolutely upside down and you're worrying about it constantly, it's not good for your health, is it?
No, and you've got going off on a little bit of a tangent, but it's a good tangent because you've made me think. I don't know about you, but in life today, because of everything, you know, you talk about the media a lot. We've got social media, we've got easy ways of contacting people. I find so many instances where I are so divisive, and I can see both sides, and there isn't a right or a wrong in so many cases. I mean, this is, as you say, common sense. Graham and Julie getting into a nice environment where they'd be safe and happy compared to what they were having to put up with. But yeah, every story that comes out, there's two sides of it. I mean, we've got a friend of mine, one or two might know, Marcus Dillerstone, who used to belong to Tunbridge Athletic Club when he was about 17, 18. He was a sprinter back in the day, went on to greater things, became a film director, and he's now living in Beverly Hills. And we saw him, I think, a few months ago, wasn't it? Was it back in the winter I saw him? And he's got riots. They've got riots on the doorsteps of Beverly Hills. I mean, believe it. And part of you thinks, oh, that's ridiculous. People wouldn't be behaving like that, shouldn't be behaving like that. And the other thing is they've been driven to it by circumstances, and you can, you know, you just don't know which way to turn. And I find that's the case in so many.
Yeah, but there is a saying, Mark, that you know, two wrongs don't make a right. And I say this quite a lot. So I think it was absolutely deplorable what those policemen did to that poor man. I mean, they didn't treat him like a human being. That shouldn't be allowed. And so from that point of view, I can understand that. But to go around throwing things, looting places, attacking people, burning things, it's, you know, I appreciate perhaps they're not winning on the front where they calmly try and reason with people. But I mean, most people say that if you don't understand something, educate them in the sense that try and explain facts. But in this instance, I'm not sure that you could. So I'm stumped how to deal with it, really, and I think that's the problem. But I don't agree with the first instance. That policeman and the three that were with him murdered that man. I'm sorry, but that's what they did. And that's as strong as I'm going to get. And the people who are rioting aren't doing themselves any favour, because everybody's thinking, well, they're not very well behaved. So you've got to find somewhere in the middle, haven't you, to be able to explain something.
Yeah, I think when you resort to violence, you've probably lost the argument to a degree, but it's so frustrating.
I can understand why, perhaps, you know, in the town that it happened, that people were rioting, but Beverly Hills, you know, they're thugs. They've just got an excuse to go and rob people to some degree, in my opinion.
That's it. Some people will feel generally aggrieved, and some people will just be taking advantage. We saw it over here with the riots a few years ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, that's good. I think we got that off our chest a little bit, and we might not need a subject at the end now, so we've done it early today. Yeah, but let's move on, because you remember, you know, a lighter frame of mind needed for this. We did.
I totally agree. Go on.
No, we did the challenge yesterday.
Yeah, what happened there? Oh yes, Red Hot.
Red Hot, yeah, glass of wine.
Smoking, man, smoking.
Yeah, it was Red Hot was the answer to the catchphrase, and Andy Poppleton snapped it up, got in there early. I think he confused Tony Fulbrook, thought it was the answer to the music quiz, but it wasn't. It was a new quiz they'd thrown in there. So here's today's catchphrase. Are you ready for it, Dawn?
Yeah, I'm ready for it. I'm never on the same wavelength as you, so I'm never going to get it.
I'll let you have one stab. Just see if you can get it, but you're only getting one stab, because then we'll throw it out to the audience. Okay, so here we go.
Okay, all right then.
Where is he?
I don't know. What have you done with him?
Hold on. Can you see him? Catchphrase competition. Here you go. What do you reckon?
Sleeping dog.
It's not actually. Catchphrase competition. Oh, hang on. Here we go. What's happened there? It's still going in the background. What do you reckon?
Stop it.
I had to. Hold on. Yeah, it stopped. Okay. All right. Oh my God. What have I got going on here? Where are you?
I don't know. I haven't got a clue.
You can only see me, can you? You can only see me.
I see you, yes, unfortunately.
Yeah, we're live. You can tell. Production. Well, no, it was a good one. It was. You were going for sleeping dog.
Or
Let's.
leave sleeping dogs lying or something. I don't know what the catchphrase is.
It's not that actually, but I thought of that afterwards. It could have been right. So we'll see if anyone comes up with it. Feedback. Andy Poppleton's. We were talking about Grazia meeting. It's a big day today. She's meeting her boyfriend today for a walk.
I know she's going to go for a walk. Bless her.
In 12, 13 weeks they've met. Had the issue of how they were going to go back to her place and just stay in the garden, and the neighbour going to kick off if they go indoors. Big dilemma, and inspired yesterday's episode. So thanks for that, Grazia. We do admire you sharing these issues with us. Andy Poppleton very kindly sent a video of this young girl who got this plastic sheeting and created an all-over body protection so she could give her grandparents a cuddle. And he said,
it is little things like that you use your imagination to get around the problem and keep people safe. She did make me laugh though. I thought it was a bit, but she'd come up with the idea herself, bless her. So I mean, in a sense, she desperately wanted to cuddle, have a hug with her grandparents.
Yeah, I think he was suggesting like a full body suit condom. That was the thing it was.
Just did to sort of lower the tone yet again. Get on with it.
Well, it's like the elephant in the room. We can't mention it, isn't it?
No, well, I suggest you don't mention it then. Stop mentioning it. Get on with it.
I'm not sure. Do we want to know how it goes, Grazia?
Not really. Not on Facebook. Thank you.
There you go. That's what I'm in a dilemma there.
Wow.
Yeah. Hubert from Canada reinforced that it's all about being safe and kind to people at the moment. He said Grazia should take my point of talking to her neighbour and asking for her help and see how she responds.
She could explain the rules, because maybe our neighbour wasn't listening long enough, because I mean they do waffle on when they do these daily updates, and sometimes you get a bit bored, switch off, and you miss the key elements of it all.
Yeah, and but Angie Crush came in late last night with some suggestions, a couple of really good ones. I thought that they get naked and sit in the garden and put the neighbour off, and she won't want to watch. And so she'll insist they go indoors. That was a good one.
But all the neighbours will go.
Yeah. But I thought the best one was Grazia hires her boyfriend to do a job indoors that needs doing and pays him £1 to fix something like a leaky tap or a wobbly bed.
Yeah. Because we had the alarm man come into the house. So
Yeah.
No.
I don't know about fixing a wobbly bedpost. You might have to do it twice and to pay him £2. And I think
your mind works. Honestly, just leave the subject alone and carry on with the rest of it.
I think the phrase back in the day was, "I've got him round to put up shelves." That was the phrase used, was it, back in the day?
I have no idea. Is that what you used to use? So when we put any shelves up.
Come down to yeah. Just quickly, Hubert in Canada was asking about the 1st of June and return to sport and how that would affect athletics. And I just for the purposes of answering him, I read that sport's got to be behind closed doors, so no crowd particularly. Yeah, they're talking about snooker, golf, football, things like that.
Didn't mention rugby, did they?
No. So it's got to be behind closed doors.
Wrestling.
It's down to the individual sporting authorities to make a decision, and we haven't got an announcement yet from England Athletics on whether there's going to be a change.
They've cancelled everything until July anyway.
Yeah. But training-wise, how does the fact that 6 people can meet outside affect things? You must travel individually. There has to be screening of some sort in place, and people turned away if they're showing any symptoms. I mean, we've got the gun for measuring your temperature, so I think if we return to the club, that somebody would have to do that. And social distancing still has to be adhered to.
Excuse me, can we just clarify? It's not a gun, it's a temperature. It takes your temperature, you just point it at you and then it tells you. Yeah. It's not a gun. People think we've brought a gun. Sorry
to clarify that. And social distancing, which I don't really understand, and somebody's mentioned it with regards to football, because how do you play football and social distance? It's very difficult.
No, I think with it, 22 players that are doing it behind closed doors, know that the risk, etc., and it's all the things that are put in place, etc. If you go down to the park and play with your mates, etc., there isn't any social distancing whatsoever. So it's too early to do that, and the risk of redoing the infection, etc., is obviously high, but it depends on how you catch it. Now, I met a man yesterday who I haven't seen for a while, and he said, "Oh, I've had COVID," and I mean, he's an elderly gentleman. His wife's in her home. He hasn't been able to see her since I think it was about the 13th of March, and he said, "Oh, I only go certain places. One was the chemist, Clark and Coleman's in Tunbridge, and to get food." And he said that a woman came into Clark and Coleman, and she shouldn't have been it because it was one in, one out, and she came in when he was in there, and she was very, very ill. She had a mask on, but he said, "I must have caught it from her." But he didn't have the breathing problems, so he's recovered. He's fine now. But it's this point of where we all of us do it, where it's like if we got a cold, we go out, and then obviously everyone else gets a cold, etc., and that's how the colds are spread. So maybe the answer is that, look, Matt, if you've got any signs, just stay at home. Ring a friend, get someone to go out and get the things that you need.
Yeah, I've got a few questions I would ask you, but I won't bother, because we've got issues all over the place, haven't we? From 22 players operating behind closed doors to 2 players perhaps operating behind closed doors in Grazia's case. So I think we better leave it there because we're out of time, really.
Also, the very fact that you're still supposed to be 2 meters apart. How do you do sport when you're 2 meters apart? I mean, come on, guys. Tennis is okay, but anyway, I'm leaving on that note because whatever happens, we just watch this space. Yeah, bye.
Oh, she's gone. Crikey, that was quick. She flew off there. Right. Cheerio, everyone. And good luck to Grazia and everybody today.